So welcome. Lindsay, do you want to do a little preamble about the Victory Center or anything before we get started?
Yeah, so hopefully everyone has received their newsletter for July. So we got a lot of good things going on. And then we also have on Friday, July 24th, the Natural Living series, Herbalism for Outdoor Living. That is going to be talking about, natural insect repellents, how to help with like sun exposure. So if you have not already, call us at 419-531-7600 so you can get signed up for that. I usually send the Zoom link the day before so that you have it and are ready to go. But again, that's going to be Friday, July 24th at 9 o'clock. So if you haven't already, please call and sign up for that. But otherwise, I don't think I have anything else for right now. So I'll pass it over to you, Lily.
All right. Well, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Lily Cunning. I'm an herbalist by trade, and I do wellness coaching of all sorts, holistic in nature. And today we're going to be talking about natural pain management, both supplements and lifestyle changes that can help you manage pain. So let me share my screen. Uh, Hopefully everybody can see that. I will be sending this and any other resources that we talk about that come up in context over to Lindsay, and she can make sure that you get all of the information that we talked about. Just so don't feel like you have to furiously take notes. It's all good. We will get you the resources that you need. But yeah, let's dive in. So, natural pain relief. There are actually quite a few things that you can do to manage both acute and chronic pain. But first, I want to let you know that pain is a signal that your body is trying to tell you something is wrong. And you should not ignore it. Try and work through pain. I am guilty of that and made my pain a lot worse, made my condition a lot worse. I was injured on the job, computery kind of things, many years ago, and I ended up having to be on workers' comp for 2 years and have four practitioners a week work on me in order to get functional and pain-free again. And right now, I have a client that is working through the same thing I did. Um, and she went ahead and had surgery the first time, and she is so flared up, it's like she didn't even have the surgery anymore because of the lifestyle things. The lifestyle things are so important, and we're going to talk about those. Um, Pain is a symptom of a greater problem. Symptom management helps you function, but you really do need to get at the root cause of your pain in order to get that pain to be gone, right? So, looking at what is causing your pain. In my case, when I'm talking about carpal tunnel, which turned into tendonitis in my elbow, which turned into frozen fascia in my back, which, has a cascade effect all throughout the body. Um, the problem was that I was doing work that was flaring soft tissues in my body. And, you know, I realize that we live in a world where sometimes just stopping the work that is causing the flare up isn't always possible, right? So I tried all kinds of ways to juggle my pain, cutting back to 4 days a week, installing, stretch wear on my computer with the number of keystrokes. But really, what my body needed was to stop, take a break, get so that I wasn't inflamed anymore and then start anew. Um, but yes, if you're not sure why you are in pain, sometimes that can happen. Getting to the root cause with a holistic practitioner is important. Um, Modern biochemical medicine, which is the kind that accepts insurance, does really well at symptom management, but doesn't always look for the root causes or connect the dots the way a holistic practitioner does. And so I highly encourage you to have a whole team of practitioners that can help you with any given problem. And a good team will work with one another, right? Like I work with doctors and other practitioners all the time for my clients. But when you're looking at pain, you need to kind of figure out, okay, well, what kind of pain am I in? Because different kinds of pain are treated differently, not just acute and chronic, but those are very different approaches to, you would approach them very differently. But also, what is in pain? Is it my nerves? Is it my muscles? Is it an organ? Is it bone? Um, and, many people, before they have like a profound injury or illness, never experience like organ pain. And so it can feel unfamiliar. Most of us have experienced muscle pain and possibly nerve pain if you've had an auto accident or maybe surgery. The regrowing of nerves can be very painful and extremely felt. But yeah, so finding out what kind of pain you're in and having a practitioner help you with that is important. Um, but like I said, chronic pain is treated differently than sudden acute pain, like from an injury, like a car accident. Chronic acute pain is its own beast, and what happens when your body is experiencing pain for a longer period of time. Sometimes your body gets stuck in an inflammation loop, and inflammation can lead to pain. And so, you need to treat chronic pain in a different way than acute pain. And so it's not a one size fits all, like, I'm in pain, therefore I need a pain reliever. It's what kind of pain. And, illness related pain is very different than injury related pain. And so there's a lot more going on. And especially with illness and pain that comes along with certain kinds of illness, often this becomes a chronic pain, and there are often emotional components to it. People with chronic pain are often anxious or depressed. It kind of comes along with the package. And so, figuring out all of the things that need treatment is part of a holistic strategy. We also need to figure out what systems are ultimately affected by pain. Sometimes we get what's called deferred pain, where there is a pain signal that starts in one part of the body, but because our body defers that feeling, we think it's somewhere else. And so, having a practitioner that understands those things is super important to get to the root cause of what's causing your pain. And also, many times, especially with chronic pain, multiple systems will become affected by that pain signal. For example, you can have an auto accident that causes a lot of soft tissue injury and pain, but also, perhaps your airbag goes off in your accident and there's this chemical propellant that gets sprayed, and so you get these chemical burns on your skin. There are multiple systems that are affected in there, and so you want a practitioner who's going to help you with all of those things. You also should work with your practitioner to figure out, with the type of pain that you have, should you only be doing topical applications? Should you be doing internal medicines, or both, right? Is a combination of both. Um, and are we dealing with a whole bunch of inflammation in addition to pain, and reducing that inflammation response? And so the reason I bring up all of these things is that I want you to start thinking about them, because as you're talking to your doctors or whatever practitioner you're seeing, you can start asking these questions. Um, because often, doctors are only allowed to spend a certain amount of time with their patients. And so they're just trying to get the broad brushstrokes. And it's up to us as patients to have a list of questions ready, writing down the things that we actually want to talk about, and really starting with the big problems and working our way down to some more minor ones. We often have to act as our own case managers in a medical system governed by insurance. So being ready to do that and talking about your pain. I highly recommend taking notes either on your phone or in a notebook so that you have things at the ready. Because often when we're in that doctor's office, we forget some pretty important things. Having it all written down in advance is super helpful, whether it's for you or someone that you're caring for. All right. So let's talk about lifestyle changes that help with pain management. We're going to start with these because I find in my practice that these are the hard things. Lifestyle changes require changes of habit. Habit is often deeply ingrained. It's pretty easy to take a supplement or a drug and add that to your routine. However, changing things of how you fundamentally act in the world can be a little more challenging. So, we're going to look at nutrition, we're going to look at movement, we're going to look at your activity level, your sleep, your quality of sleep, and stress in order to manage pain in this particular um, class today. And then we will also talk about supplementation. And as a holistic practitioner, I'm an herbalist, like I said. Supplements are there for you, but they are there to help you accelerate your recovery. I very rarely will recommend a supplement that people need to take for life, right? It's about balancing the scales and getting where we need to go more quickly. It's not, becoming dependent on any particular substance. And so lifestyle changes are going to help to make the scales start moving. Supplements may help you get there faster, but making those changes will help restore healthy homeostasis. All right, so let's talk about food. So if you are deeply inflamed and in pain, switching to an anti-inflammatory diet is one of the most critical things you can do. What we put in our bodies affects how our bodies interact with the world, the cells that we can build. Diet is so critically important. And so looking at what an anti-inflammatory diet includes, and I am also happy to send some dietary guides. The Cleveland Clinic actually has a really lovely inflammatory and Mediterranean diet guide that I can send along. But looking at what it includes, it's very Mediterranean in outlook, which is why those folks live so long. But fatty fish, nuts, dark leafy greens, olive oil, not cooked but raw, like as a finishing oil, fantastic. Um, and different kinds of fruits also help lower inflammation in the body, including tomatoes and oranges and berries and cherries. I mean, they're all delicious, right? So that shouldn't be a problem. But usually the problem, particularly in the United States, is avoiding foods that flare us up. Number one culprit, refined sugar. Totally, right? Like a lot of Americans eat sweets every day, right? Or they eat more red meat than other parts of the world. And processed food, highly processed food, food that's partially cooked for you or already baked for you, often are culprits. The bread that you get at the supermarket contains all kinds of not food. Um, and so getting freshly baked bread, either doing it yourself or, going to a bakery that makes it without dough enhancers, a local bread maker from your farmer's market, for example, aren't going to be using all of those chemicals. um, Really important to eat a whole food diet and avoid highly processed ingredients, including margarine and shortening, eliminating soda and other sugar sweetened beverages, particularly high fructose corn syrup. All of these things increase inflammation in the body. And if you're already in pain, they're going to exacerbate that pain. Now, I say all these things, right? But I know that it's easier said than done because when you are in pain, you often rely on things that are already made to help you feed yourself. I get that. And so, one of the things that I highly recommend is to set aside a day. where it's mostly rest and you do a little bit of food prep for the whole week. Um, you could hard boil some eggs that you're going to have throughout the week. You can make a salad and store it in mason jars, and those tend to not get uh, slimy after you've chopped up greens and things. You could bake a loaf of bread for the week or make banana nut muffins or whatever it is. Once a week, just set some time aside so that you know that you can nourish yourself. Um, but diet is so critically important to reducing pain and inflammation in the body, as is daily movement. Now, this was super hard for me when I was all flared up and in pain, but I promise you, there is a movement for every single body and condition out there. And I am happy if you want to ask a question in this session or you want to shoot me an email. I'm happy to help you find that movement. You need to move around for at least 30 minutes every day in order to lower inflammation and pain in the body. Um, and if you want to make progress on, getting more strong and more resilient, obviously, changing or increasing your movement as you go along. When you first start, it may be very minimal movement, but every movement counts. When I was super inflamed and in pain, the thing that I started with was aqua aerobics, right? I went to my local Y and they had an aqua aerobics class, and it was me in there with a bunch of other people who were either elderly or injured, and we did our aqua aerobics routine. And as I got stronger and more resilient, I was able to incorporate more types of exercise into my life. I'm no longer in pain every day and flared up. What I tend to do is qigong now. And there are so many YouTube channels that help you with Tai Chi and Qigong. You can follow along, just put it on your TV and follow along with those. And I found for my condition, because I was inflamed, yoga didn't help me very much. Like for my types of injuries, reaching a move like a particular position and holding it in place actually flared up my injuries. I had lots of friends who were into yoga and it really helped them. And they're like, oh, do yoga. Yoga's good for you. But it wasn't good for me. And I want to emphasize that because not everything that people recommend are going to work for you. And so I found movement modalities, things like Tai Chi and Qigong, were actually much better for me. And they helped me with my flexibility because, like I said, I had frozen fascia in my back. And so they helped me get that mobility back in a way that yoga could not for me. Yoga helps many, many people, though, so you might want to try it. And there are ways to modify yoga so that it's not so, heroic, right? Like there are props that you can use. You can do it in a chair, and a good yoga instructor will help you modify the movements. So definitely get your movement in every day, even if it's just a walk around the block. Because movement helps lessen pain. It helps with staying flexible because as we become more sedentary, we become less and less flexible, and that actually exacerbates our pain and inflammation. Um, and I have found that doing the same kind of movement for a while, over and over each day, actually helped me to track my progress and feel better about, my body and getting better. So, when I do the same Qigong routine and I don't mix it up, even though like my brain might be like, oh, this again, I'm able to see, oh, I'm able to stretch further. Oh, I'm able to put my hands flat on the floor instead of just barely touching my toes. You can track your progress in a way that really helps when you do the same thing day after day. So I highly recommend moving and finding what movement works for you. Now let's talk about sleep. We're going to talk about the quantity of sleep as well as the quality of sleep. Both are important. When you're not well, you actually need more sleep than when you are fine, because this is your body's hard reset, right? and your brains. So, ensuring that you get 6 to 8 hours within a 24-hour cycle is important. And if that means, you're only able to sleep 4 hours at a time because of pain, and I've been there, I know what you mean, tossing and turning, trying to find a comfortable position. Naps count. They totally count. So if you're only able to get 4 hours at a time, do it twice. Um, but making up those sleep deficits, we call it sleep debt, is super important because your body needs that in order to reset. So ways to get good sleep if you have a problem with this are creating a routine, number one. The same thing to sort of wind down every night. So maybe you read a book, maybe you drink some herbal tea or some warm milk. Maybe you take a bath in the evening rather than taking a shower during the day. To wind down and to signal to your body that we're getting ready to go to bed. We are getting ready to change, our brain waves to make it more conducive to sleep. And there are things that you can do to help facilitate a good routine. I mentioned baths. Baths are something that are done in the evening in Japan, for example, because it helps them wind down to get good sleep. You can also use aromatherapy. One of the chief ways that I think an aromatherapy diffuser is super helpful is diffusing a sleep blend at night in the bedroom, right? That is a way that it's going to continue to happen even after you're asleep, because some people have insomnia where they just can't get to sleep. They toss and turn and it's really hard. And some people have that really annoying insomnia where they get to sleep and then they wake up, bing, and their brain is on and it takes hours to get back to sleep. Aromatherapy is super helpful for that kind of sleep problems. So I highly recommend that. When my son was little, he had night terrors, right? He would wake up screaming and he didn't even know he was awake. Like he would just bolt upright in bed and start screaming. And aromatherapy was how I helped him sleep calmly through the night. So big fan of that. You can try teas that are non-caffeinated, and even better, what herbalists call nervine sedatives. So they calm the nervous system. They help with pain. They help with sleep. They help with anxiety. They just lower the volume a little bit, right? Chamomile is a very common one used. And if you've never had chamomile tea, either with fresh flowers or with whole flowers, you've only had the little dunky bags that you get at the supermarket, I tell you, you have not had chamomile tea because real potent chamomile tea is buttery and appley and floral all at the same time. And when you buy those little tea bags at the store, they've chopped it up so fine that they have oxidized a lot of the potency away. You never know how old those tea bags are when you take it off the shelf and bring it home. So I highly recommend like going to an herb store or going online to say Mountain Rose Herbs and buying, a little 4-ounce bag of chamomile flowers rather than buying the little boxes at the store. Um, Avoiding caffeine after 3 p.m. So people who are really sensitive to caffeine can be sensitive for hours at a time. And so, anytime after 3 p.m. Hi, Teddy. Can you be quiet, please? Sorry about that. If folks heard the child outside, I'm on a family reunion vacation and we have children outside. So avoiding caffeine after 3 can really help you wind down, and also avoiding any screens like laptops, tablets, phones an hour before bedtime. The worst thing you can do is if you are waking up in the middle of the night is to pick up that phone on your nightside table and start scrolling. It will keep you awake for a lot longer than if you just read a book or, turn over and go, okay, I'm gonna think about a relaxing thing. Um, And working to make your bedroom a quiet, dark sanctuary is super important. So, um, you starting with blackout curtains. If you're very susceptible to light, like I wake up in the summer, I'm awake much more than I'm asleep because it starts getting light at 6:30 in the morning. Bing, I'm awake. And it doesn't get dark until after 9. So blackout curtains can really help facilitate a more restful sleep. Getting screens out of your bedroom, maybe charge your phone in a different room. Don't have a TV on. Um, the aromatherapy can really help. And if, noise is helpful to you, maybe getting a white noise generator. The ocean is also, those sounds are really peaceful. But thinking about what it would take to make your bedroom the sleep oasis that it needs to be, uh, and really, making that happen. I actually bought an eye mask that has like rings around the eye cups and everything to really block out a lot of things. I have earplugs. If something is noisy outside, I can put in earplugs and just get that whole sensory deprivation tank sensation going so that all there is you and the darkness. That can be super helpful. Stress management. So, stress is something that can exacerbate pain and inflammation and anxiety and depression, like all of the things that we don't like. And so, if you are stressed out, it is important again to get to the root cause. What is stressing you out? Is it a relationship? Can you have a good talk with someone that you're in a relationship with and let them know what it is that needs to change and what you need from them? Is it a situation? Are you able to get out of that situation? Is something avoidable or changeable? Like, instead of immediately saying no, actually think about it and tag people in to help you change this stressful situation. Because to get rid of stress, you need to eliminate it at the source. If it's a work thing, maybe talking to your supervisor about changing workload or changing dynamics or moving desks or any number of things, right? Stress management, if you can eliminate this, you're going to heal a lot more rapidly. And I do encourage, I know a lot of people came in after I started the class. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat and we will get to them after the presentation. You don't have to wait until the end, but you're welcome to do that as well. But as an herbalist, obviously, I often recommend supplementation for pain and inflammation. And so I wanted to go through some of the more common ones that, broad brushstrokes can help people. So fish oil is a really lovely one that helps lower chronic inflammation in the body. Just getting a high quality one can help with a lot of systemic chronic issues. And there are really good brands out there. A bad brand would be one where you're getting the fish oil burps, right? Like you don't want to have an unpleasant experience when taking fish oil. But alternatively, the best medicine is food. So if you're eating fatty fish regularly, if that's something that you can do, that really helps. Fish oil or fatty fishes like salmon and mahi mahi, like all of the fattier fishes. Vitamin D is another supplement that I highly recommend. And honestly, we used to think we knew exactly what vitamin D was for, but in the last decade, we have found that vitamin D is involved in many body processes, and we actually need more than we thought. And so I um, recommend, especially here in Ohio, taking vitamin D on the regular. I actually take a supplement between October and March of vitamin D every year because the winters here, you just don't see the sun. You can go for days looking at the sky and it's just gray and the sun is completely blocked out. And then you can't, make your own vitamin D. You know, when I first moved to Ohio, I moved here from California and I had never experienced vitamin D deficiency. And I moved, and my first winter here, I thought I had mono. I thought I was really, really sick because I was falling asleep in the middle of the day, like uncontrollably, like I would just nod off. So I went to the doctor because I thought I needed blood tests to figure out what kind of infection I had. And she was like, "Oh, no, 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 you just need more vitamin D." And I was so confused. I was like, "Well, doesn't your body just make vitamin D?" And she's like, "Well, not in Ohio in the winter." And I was like, "Oh my gosh," I couldn't believe it. She had to give me like a prescription strength vitamin D that was so strong I could only take it every other day because it would have been too hard on my liver to process that amount. And it took several months for me to get out of that. uh, Incredible fatigue. I mean, my body was just like, nope, you're done. You don't have enough. We're shutting down right in the middle of sentences and things. So, vitamin D is so important. And taking it regularly. So now, like I said, I take it October through March. I take 5,000 IU daily from October through March. Um, and I've not had that problem since that first year in Ohio. So, vitamin D, yay, it's a good thing. And then, so we're going to get into some action words in herbalism. So, most people have heard the term anti-inflammatory because pharmaceuticals also use that term to mean reducing inflammation in the body. But in herbalism, we have anti-inflammatory herbs, and we'll talk about those. We also have nervines, and these work on the nervous system. So nervine tonics help to strengthen the nervous system. If you have some deficiencies, like MS or Parkinson's, nervine tonics can be really fantastic in helping to strengthen your nervous system. And many of them, when your nervous system is working overtime just to do basic functioning, it can cause pain signals. And so nervine tonics can really be helpful. Things like oat are nervine tonics. Nervine relaxants are things that calm the nervous system, and so those pain impulses become less loud with nervine relaxants. And we'll talk about different examples of those. And then adaptogens. And I'm not sure if anyone here in the audience knows what adaptogens are, but they are fabulous. And they are safe for most people, including folks on different pharmaceuticals. Adaptogens are this unique class of herbs that help you to achieve a healthy homeostasis faster. They all tend to work on the adrenal system to help you cope with stress and change and anxiety and things like that. But they also have secondary, tertiary effects on different systems. And depending on what's going on with you, an herbalist like myself would recommend different adaptogens. For example, if you are very brain foggy and spent because of your pain levels, but you also are pre-diabetic, I would probably recommend Tulsi, also known as holy basil, to you because it helps stabilize blood sugar at the same time it helps deal with stress and anxiety and change. So let's talk about those. Let's talk about nervines and anti-inflammatories. So nervine tonic herbs, I mentioned oat, Avena sativa. So oatmeal on the regular, drinking oat straw tea or milky oat top tea is really great at fortifying the entire nervous system. St. John's wort, which I will give a caveat, some people are taking pharmaceuticals in which St. John's wort is contraindicated. If you have questions about that for your particular circumstance, you can email me with what drugs you are on, and I will let you know if that is appropriate for you. But St. John's wort is a really good neurotransmitter support. It helps stabilize the signals that go between nerve endings, the neurotransmitters. And skullcap is a really fantastic nervine tonic. It's going to help just lower a lot of that anxiety and stress chatter in the brain. It helps really greatly with sleep, even though it's not sedating. I've had several clients, they only need a little bit of skullcap before they go to bed to really have a good restful sleep, because their signals are just blowing up, right? So, nervine relaxants are things that actually sort of sedate the nervous system a little bit. And lemon balm is one of my favorites because while it is sedating, it's also not depressive. A lot of times when people are depressed, and believe me, with chronic pain and inflammation, it's very easy to get depressed. Lemon balm is sunny and fortifying at the same time that it is calming. So, lemon balm is a friend for those that need some relaxants, but also have some depression. Catnip is another one. A lot of people are surprised to hear about catnip because they think about what it does to their cats and it makes them all manic. But for humans, catnip is a sedative, and it helps to calm down the nervous system. And the same with passion flower. And a lot of people grow passion flower here in Ohio and they don't even realize that it's medicine. Yes, it has fruit, which is delicious, but the flowers and the leaves can also make a fantastic tea that is calming. Anti-inflammatory herbs, my very favorite that I take every day is turmeric. I had a picture of turmeric root right here. And you want to get that orange turmeric, not the white variety. So turmeric has compounds in it that help lower inflammation, especially chronic inflammation over time. You can cook with it. I use golden milk. So golden milk is an Ayurvedic preparation of turmeric. And I have a product at the store, Haven Herbs, that makes it super easy to make golden milk that's not gritty and weird. Um, but I use a golden milk as creamer in my coffee every day. And that way I know I'm getting a dose. I don't have to remember to take a supplement. It's just the thing that I put in my coffee. Big fan of that. And when I don't take it for a week, I can feel it. Like my fingers start to get stiff and doing nimble things is harder. My knees get crunchy going up and down the stairs. So turmeric is something that I take all the time. Um, and my second favorite, and probably one of my favorite herbs all around, is stinging nettle. Now, if people are familiar with this, they'll probably think it's a nuisance because when you touch it, it stings and gives you a rash a lot of times. Some people it doesn't happen to. I don't happen to get the rash, but it is an anti-inflammatory as well as an antihistamine. And the stingers, the little hairs that actually that you touch that deliver the sting, are the delivering the medicine to you. Um, so back in the day when people had like rheumatoid arthritis or gout and they had big swollen joints that were super painful and not flexible, they would take several stalks of stinging nettle and they would whip the area to sting themselves, and all of that inflammation would recede to make a functioning joint. Um, and the rash you could just treat topically, right? It was preferable to have a little bit of a rash rather than having a joint that you could not use. So stinging nettle is a big friend, and it's also super healthy. Unlike taking NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, taking stinging nettle on the regular is actually healthy for you. It's one of the healthiest land plants there is. And then meadowsweet. Meadowsweet is high in salicylic acid. And so that and willow bark are where we originally got aspirin from. Salicylic acid is the active ingredient in aspirin. And up until like 1986, we were extracting those compounds from plants and then compounding them to make a pill. So taking a tincture of meadowsweet or having it on hand for when you have pain and inflammation is super helpful. And oh, I forgot to mention that throughout this slide deck, which you are going to receive from Lindsay, if it's underlined, it's a link. And so I provided lots of links to different things. And so you can get single herb tinctures at the link there. So you could look for lemon balm or skullcap or whatever it is that you were interested in at that link there. And this is the product that I was mentioning, turmeric tea paste to make golden milk. I make several sizes. Honestly, it's like the easiest, like when I set out to make this, I set out to make the easiest, most pleasant way of making and consuming golden milk. And it's so easy, to do it. You just literally, I put it in a vessel and I add my milk of choice. I often do oat milk because I'm not a big dairy milk person, but the fattier the better. So coconut milk is really lovely because turmeric is fat soluble, right? And so it turns this lovely golden color. I keep it in the fridge once I've made it into milk. And then, like I said, I use it as creamer in my coffee. You could put it in smoothies, you could drink it on its own. Golden milk is a fantastic way of reducing pain and inflammation in the body. So we have about 15 minutes left for questions. I'm happy to answer the ones in the chat, but also, I am happy to have you come on mic and ask your questions that way. There we go. Lindsay's back and muted, just so you know you're muted. Kristen says I recommend chair yoga on Thursdays. Fantastic. I love it when people make recommendations for other folks. And yeah, a lot of times places like the Victory Center, or I also teach classes at Cancer Support Community, they have all of this amazing programs for free for folks who are living through cancer. Um, and yeah, chair yoga, restorative yoga, those are some terms that really help folks that are dealing with conditions that maybe limit your mobility or your energy levels. So that's great. Um, so it is question and answer time. I would love to hear your questions, either about some of the lifestyle changes that I outlined, or some of the supplements, or if you have a particular issue or condition, feel free to put it in the Q&A as long as you don't mind the answer being on video, but obviously I won't say your name. And that way it can remain anonymous on the video. But I would love to take your questions, comments, feedback, etc., etc. Anyone, anyone. It's okay to be shy. You can put it in the chat if you like. But I just want to say that the dealing with pain as part of being sick or injured is something that I'm very intimately familiar with. My healing journey after being injured on the job was 2 years of 4 practitioners a week and changing a lot of things about the way I did things. And one thing I will say is the hardest part for me was not necessarily the pain, but the pain accompanied by knowing I couldn't do things for myself, the anguish and frustration of not being able to cut my own meat, drive a car. All of these things take an emotional toll on people who are usually very able and capable and self-reliant. And so I understand as a practitioner what that's about. Let's see. Do you recommend any apps that support daily movement? Um, I don't have any apps in particular, but I will say I have become a big fan of going onto YouTube and doing search queries, and there are a lot of channels that can help you depending on the type of movement that you'd like to do. You could search up low impact cardio. You could search up qigong, you could search up restorative yoga, and all of those things. You're going to find so many different practitioners, and you can really just watch a few of them and follow along and see which one works best for your body. There's so much out there. It's amazing, and it's all there for you on YouTube. Um, I I've got about four different qigong practitioners that I rotate through. But in the beginning, I stayed with the same practitioner that was low impact on my body and was very focused on the flow of the movement. And as I got stronger and more capable, I started adding a little bit more challenging things like Buddhist monks who have been doing it for a long, 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 long time and are able to do these amazing movements and balance that I never would have been able to start out with. So don't get frustrated if you start looking for things and you find it to be too intense, modify it. If you like that particular routine and you have aspirations, modify it until you are able to get there. Because with practice and repetition, you will be able to get there. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. So one of the things I will do is I will send Lindsay the slide deck. And oh, I see another question. Good. I will send Lindsay the slide deck along with any other resources that people ask for, so that you will get that. Let's see. There have been some studies that indicate that herbal supplements, anti-inflammatories interfere with chemos, but of course, not enough research to cover them. And all the different kinds of cancer meds. I will always be on some sort of targeted therapy or chemo. Said I word. Yes. So a good practitioner is actually doing all that research before they recommend anything for you. I don't recommend someone with a complicated situation like yourself just trying to take things off the shelf and taking them, right? Work with practitioners that specialize with your condition. Talk to your doctor about things. And I will say, and this is not a bad thing, is that doctors will often just say no because they don't know enough. They haven't done enough specialty studies on interactions between herbs and drugs. That is my job, right? As an herbalist, it is my job to make sure that anything that I give to a client um, is beneficial and not harmful. And so I do a lot of research before I create a formula for anyone. Um, and it's important that that happens, right? So just getting something off the shelf or going to someone who you're not sure of their credentials. And if you are looking for someone with credentials as an herbalist, we have a guild, right? So herbalists in the United States aren't licensed the way they are in Canada or Europe. Um, just like midwives aren't licensed. And so you want to go with someone who's a member of the guild. And the guild sort of vets people and recommends good education for people to start with. And in order to get a professional, as a professional member of the guild, it means that you went to a reputable school, you've been vetted by other herbalists, you've submitted case studies to show, the ability you have to help people, et cetera, et cetera. So, acupuncturists are licensed in the United States. Some states only license acupuncturists, and some states license like the whole practice of Chinese medicine. It depends from state to state. So going to someone who actually is either licensed or vetted by like a guild or something like that is super important. Um, so yes. So in terms of advice, seek professional help. And definitely go with someone who is more than happy to provide documentation to your practitioners. Like I feel like it's my job to often, as I'm working with a client, give them studies that a doctor can look at and go, oh, and feel okay about, whatever it is that I have recommended. And I'm happy to always do that. And so is any holistic practitioner worth a darn. All right. So, love physical therapists. They have been super helpful in identifying pain origin. Yes. Honestly, the physical therapy that I went through when I had carpal tunnel and tendonitis and fascia problems were able to identify things that my doctor could not as a workers' comp doctor. That was very helpful. And they were able to get to the problem in a way that because they study musculoskeletal physiology in a way that doctors do not, right? Everybody has their specialty in Western medicine. And the way that Western medicine educates is you start out with just a general medical license, and sometimes you become a specialist, like an oncologist, right? And so they have a very narrow focus, and they don't necessarily know things outside of their area of expertise because they have trained so hard in just that area of expertise that they rely on other people. And so holistic practitioners take the opposite tack, right? I look at the whole person and I try and connect all the dots. It's a different approach. And so having different types of people on your team can be really super helpful. Um, yeah. So we are headed towards the end. I'm happy to take a couple last minute questions, but it was really great being here with you all. The video will go up and I'll send Lindsay the link to the video. So just so you know, it probably won't be today because this is the last day of family vacation and we are traveling back home to Ohio. But I will do it tomorrow afternoon. So you should get the slide deck and the video link tomorrow afternoon. Do you have any parting words for us, Lindsay?
Yes, thank you so much, Lily. And I especially liked the slide about the movement because a lot of the movement types mentioned we have here at the Victory Center. So Tai Chi, we have every Tuesday from 6 to 7 o'clock here at our Toledo office. We have a walking with nature class. They go over to the Wildwood Metro Park and they go walk over there for about an hour and a half. And we just recently partnered with the YMCA of Greater Toledo to offer a aquatic exercise class at the Fort Meigs YMCA in Perrysburg every Saturday from 11:30 to 12:30. So if you are interested in starting any of those classes, just give us a call and we can sign you up. Yeah, that's all I
Awesome.
got.
And the nature walk, I highly recommend if you can do your exercise outside in nature, that actually helps lower anxiety and depression as well. In Japan, they call it Shinrin-yoku or forest bathing. It is proven to be incredibly helpful for people with chronic pain, with anxiety, with depression. So yeah, getting outside, super important.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It was lovely to answer all your questions and help today, and I will see you next month.
Thank you, Lily. And everyone stay hydrated next week. It's going to be very, very hot out. So stay hydrated, stay cool. If you need a cool place to go, you are always welcome to come to the Victory Center and hang out, relax while we're open because we have air conditioning. So you're always welcome to come here and relax if you need a cool place to go next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.